in full-time ministry for a long period of time. I also have been a family therapist, and also as well, I've had lots of counseling when it comes to premarital counseling and also as well marriage counseling. So I think I can qualify to give some advice, especially to those who are thinking about getting into a relationship. So the first piece of advice that I have for you today is always the person that you choose to be your partner literally affects everything in your life. Let me just tell you, when you choose to get into a relationship, they basically become the number one thing next to the Lord in your life. And also as well, they can affect your spiritual life as well. So it's absolutely important that you recognize that most of your time and your attention is going to be centered on that person and their interaction with your life. So it is important that you choose the right person, for example, for your mental health. Remember, what that person says and does is definitely going to affect you either negatively or positively. So also remember that 80% of people do struggle with their mental health when it comes to their relationship. Now, remember, what they say, what they do, and also what they intend to do directly affects you. And it can really, cause peace in your heart or conflict in your heart. So it's absolutely essential that you make sure that you choose a person who is going to be good for your mental health. Also, as well, for your peace of mind. I mean, let's face it, so many couples are in turmoil because they didn't choose the right individual. Or they thought, okay, this person is the right individual. And then they found out that instead of looking at what we would call the warning signs, they thought, I'm going to be able to change this person. Listen, this is not Pride and Prejudice, okay? Mr. Darcy is not going to be changed by Elizabeth Bennet, or Elizabeth Bennet is going to be changed by Mr. Darcy. The reality of the situation is most of our behavioral patterns have all been established before we're actually 10 years old. So by the time we get into an adult relationship, we've already established the patterns of our lives. And so it's important to watch the signs. If you see something that is in that person that you cannot overlook, don't get into a relationship with them. What always amazed me when I got married, my wife was walking down the aisle. She was in this beautiful white dress, and the only thought that went through me is, how in heaven's name did this young lady choose to overlook my obvious imperfections and flaws? But it's interesting. I love this quote. The quote goes along this line. It says, you have two imperfect people looking at the other person with a certain view of perfection. That is absolutely amazing to me. But let me tell you this, if you see certain warning signs, and you will see the warning signs if you happen to have your eyes open. Now, one of the things that I do when it comes to premarital counseling, and I've had, literally hundreds of sessions with people with coming to premarital counseling, it is along this lines. And that is the fact that we have the responsibility of telling them, hey, these are some complications that you may see in this other person. And sometimes, and a lot of these times, they go, well, I can certainly work with that. And then later on, they find out that maybe they couldn't work with it. Well, the simple fact is, if there are warning signs, please don't enter into that relationship, because it will deal with your mental health and your peace of mind. And also, as well, it's going to affect the love that is within you, okay? Now, every one of us has a great capacity to love, but the reality of any relationship is when you get into relationship, whether it is a relationship that is boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, family member, there's always the possibility of great harm and great hurt. It can be really devastating. For example, if you have parents who are putting unrealistic expectations on you, that's going to affect your self esteem. If you have an individual who is constantly putting you down, then your self esteem is going to, of course, suffer as well. So it's important to recognize that whoever you are partnering yourself with, whether it is a long term relationship or just a relationship that you're entering into, it can affect the love that's within you. It can suppress the love, or it can, make the love grow. So it is important that you understand the person that you're partnering with, especially it affects your life. Also, as well, your happiness, your success, but most importantly, how your children are raised. So if you are getting into a relationship, one of the things that you need to chat about, number one, children. Okay? You need to chat about how many children you are going to have. I saw videos just yesterday about a wife who said to her husband, I want to have many children. And by the time they were done, they'd had 7 children. Now that's pretty amazing. My wife and I, when we started off, we said, well, let's have a couple of kids. So we had a boy and a girl, and we had the millionaire family. But then one day, I said, let's have another one. So we had a little girl. And then we had a little boy after that. Before you know it, we had 4 kids. I asked my daughter one time, I said, why did you have 4 kids? I have a daughter who has 4 kids. She said, simply because she said, we knew that our family wasn't complete until we had certain amount of children. And she says, I grew up in a family of 4. And she says, we had a wonderful family. And she says, I wanted to have the same type of family. And the reality is, I've had the privilege of staying with them, and they do have a wonderful family. They really do. So that can really affect, of course, your what you're going to do, your success, and how importantly, how your children move it. And that's important as well. You've got to have that discussion, because the simple fact is that if you don't, your children, as they grow up, are going to manipulate that, and they're going to use that for their advantage. Also, as well, you can have some real knockdown, drag out fights over the fact of how children are raised. So you got to have that discussion. And it's not just when you're thinking about it, and also as well, you got to have an ongoing discussion when it comes to raising your children. Because remember, it says in Proverbs 22:6, train a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. I saw a wonderful Facebook post the other day that's simply like this. The child was speaking to their dad and said, Dad, you need to walk very wisely, and you need to walk in a right manner, because I am following in your footsteps. So that's really something to think about as well. So I always encourage people to have a very frank discussion when it comes to, of course, choosing the right, especially lifetime partner. Because you got to realize that everything that person does is going to affect your life, whether it's your mental health, whether it's your peace of mind, whether it's the love that has within you, your happiness, your success, but most importantly, how you're going to create a legacy. So my simple advice for you is choose wisely. It's very important, because that person, whoever they may be, male or female, guess what? They are going to affect your life. And they are going to either lift you up to the highest heights of friendship and companionship, or they're going to absolutely wreck you when it comes to that relationship. And also remember, 54% of all marriages end in divorce. And this is a little piece of advice for the ladies. Ladies, We know that 80% of all divorces recently have been instituted by ladies. And the reason is because they didn't choose wisely. So make sure that you choose wisely. Look for the warning signs and think about what I've had to say today as well. It's a little thought for you today. Well, if you like what you've been hearing and seeing, I always encourage you to press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Robert Dean Steele. You have yourself a great day.